Welcome to today's deep dive.
Yes, welcome.
Whether you are joining us for the very first time or, you're a longtime listener returning to explore another hidden corner of history with us, you are in exactly the right place.
We're thrilled to have you here.
We really are. And today, our focus is on a pretty fascinating set of source materials.
Fascinating and, frankly, a bit deceptive at first glance.
Right. We are examining this brief but incredibly dense Wikipedia stub concerning an American curler named Mary Van Ess.
Just a few sentences, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But alongside that entry, our sources include these foundational citations that back up her record, things like the United States Women's Curling Association Historical Review,
Well,
official USA curling records, and I love this title, a wonderfully titled archival piece from Curling News called Tales from Sheet 9.
it's the ultimate example of why we cannot judge the historical weight of a document by its word count alone.
Oh, absolutely not.
I mean, a few sentences on a digital page might seem inconsequential at first glance. But when you look closely at the citations and the timeline presented, you realize you are looking at the condensed blueprint of an entire career.
It's dense.
It is a masterclass in reading between the lines of historical records to uncover the unseen architecture of a sport.
Which is precisely our mission for today. We are going to deconstruct the trajectory of a true pioneer in American sports administration.
And really understand the anatomy of leadership.
Right, specifically how an individual transitions from, say, managing a local community ice rink to standing on the international stage at the Winter Olympics.
Shaping the global future of an athletic discipline.
Yeah. Okay, let's unpack this, because it is genuinely remarkable to dissect the relentless, methodical climb required to build a legacy of this magnitude from the ground up.
It really is. And the foundational aspect of her career is arguably the most instructive part of the entire narrative.
How so?
Well, when we analyze the origins of global sports figures, we often look for a dramatic, inciting incident, right?
Like a movie montage or something.
Exactly. But the reality of administrative leadership is usually much more grounded.
Very grounded.
In 1976 and 1977, Mary Van Ess served as the president of the Women's Wauwatosa Curling Club.
Wauwatosa.
Yes. We are talking about a highly specific, geographically localized community in Wisconsin.
And that hyperlocal starting point is crucial to understand for you listening.
Definitely.
Taking the helm of the Wauwatosa Club in the mid-70s meant she wasn't stepping into some heavily funded, well-oiled corporate machine.
Not at all.
She was stepping into a purely grassroots environment.
You're managing volunteer schedules.
Yeah, negotiating ice time at the local rink.
Balancing incredibly tight community budgets.
And let's be real, mediating the inevitable interpersonal disputes that pop up in literally any local organization.
Oh, the local politics are always the fiercest.
It is the unglamorous nuts and bolts work of keeping a community tradition alive.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, community-level leadership is the ultimate crucible for large-scale administrative roles.
I like that word, crucible.
It's true, though. The friction you encounter when running a local club forces you to develop a highly adaptable operational toolkit.
Because you can't just pass the buck.
Right. When you are the president of a local organization, you cannot hide behind layers of bureaucracy. You are directly accountable to your neighbors and your peers.
They know where you live.
Exactly. Earning their trust and effectively managing their resources requires a level of diplomatic agility that becomes absolutely essential later on.
And that diplomatic agility clearly paid dividends very quickly for her.
Incredibly quickly.
Because the local visibility she achieved at Wauwatosa translated into national trust in a remarkably short period.
Just a few years.
Yeah, by 1980, just a few years after running her local club, she was tapped to lead the United States Women's Curling Association as its president.
A role she held until 1981.
Right, transitioning from a single club in Wisconsin to governing the entire national apparatus of women's curling. That is a monumental pivot in scope.
It requires a complete recalibration of your strategic vision.
Because you're no longer just dealing with Wauwatosa.
Right. Nationalizing a sport, especially a niche sport, trying to expand its footprint, means you are no longer just thinking about ice time in one town.
You're tasked with standardizing rules across different regions.
Coordinating national tournaments.
And bridging the cultural gaps between curling clubs that might have entirely different local traditions.
You have to synthesize those disparate local voices into a unified national direction.
And doing that successfully requires an immense amount of operational stamina.
Absolutely.
I mean, think about it. You are coordinating across time zones, navigating regional politics, and doing all of this long before the era of instant digital communication.
No email.
No smartphones, just landlines and mailed newsletters. It makes you realize that being elected to a national presidency isn't a sudden stroke of luck.
Not at all.
It is the direct result of proving your competence at the grassroots level, where your ability to execute is highly visible to the broader community.
Which is exactly why I want to invite you, the listener, to consider your own professional or personal spheres for a moment.
Yeah, think about your own life.
Think about the local committees, the neighborhood associations, or the grassroots industry groups you might participate in.
PTA, local sports leagues?
Exactly. We often artificially separate those community roles from national or global leadership. We view them as entirely different worlds.
Like they don't connect.
Right. But this trajectory proves that taking the reins locally is never a dead end.
Never.
The skills you forge while organizing a neighborhood initiative or a local professional chapter are the exact same mechanics required to govern on a macro scale.
The scale changes.
But the fundamental architecture of leadership remains the same.
That is such a powerful framework to keep in mind, especially as we trace her career into the 1980s.
Because she doesn't stop there.
No, she doesn't. That operational stamina she built nationally did not just cap out at the borders of the United States.
By 1981, she steps into a role that requires an entirely different geopolitical toolkit.
Yeah, for an entire decade. From 1981 until 1991, she served as the United States representative to the International Curling Federation.
Taking on the role of an international representative is a massive transition.
You go from domestic logistics to global diplomacy.
Exactly. The International Curling Federation in the 1980s was an organization dealing with the growing pains of a sport that was trying to expand its reach.
Beyond its traditional strongholds like Scotland or Canada.
Right. As the U.S. representative, she had to navigate language barriers, cultural differences in how the game was played and managed, and the competing interests of various national federations.
All while advocating for the American perspective.
Which is a tough balancing act.
And the sources highlight that she wasn't merely a passive attendee at these international summits.
Far from it.
Out of that 10-year diplomatic stint, she served on the Federation's Ladies Committee for 6 years.
Not just served.
Right. She was elected as the president of that committee for 2 of those years.
This indicates a deeply proactive approach to shaping the global landscape of the sport.
Particularly for women competitors.
Who were fighting for equal standing, resources, and recognition on the world stage at that time.
Serving as the president of the Ladies Committee within an international federation, that is a highly complex advocacy role.
You are tasked with elevating the women's game globally.
Which often means pushing against entrenched institutional inertia.
You have to convince the broader federation to invest in women's world championships.
To standardize competitive opportunities.
And to treat the women's division with the exact same structural respect as the men's.
It requires a delicate balance of firm advocacy and collaborative diplomacy to ensure that all member nations move forward together.
And that decade of relentless international advocacy perfectly sets the stage for what is arguably the most high-stakes chapter of her career.
Oh, absolutely. Here's where it gets really interesting.
The Olympics.
The Olympics. In 1988, while still serving as the international representative, Mary Van Ess managed the United States' women's curling team at the Winter Olympics in Calgary.
This is a critical juncture in the narrative, and we must emphasize a specific piece of context provided by the source material.
It's a game-changer detail.
Curling was not a permanent Olympic fixture at the 1988 Games. It was featured as a demonstration sport.
Demonstration sport.
That single classification fundamentally changes the gravity of her role as a manager.
A demonstration sport is essentially an audition for the entire globe.
A high-stakes audition.
The athletes are out there competing at the highest possible level, but their medals aren't officially added to the permanent Olympic tally.
The real competition is happening both on and off the ice.
Proving to the International Olympic Committee that the sport deserves to be there permanently.
Precisely. The logistical and psychological pressure of managing an Olympic team is already immense.
You're responsible for the physical and mental well-being of elite athletes.
Managing their training schedules, travel logistics.
Media obligations under the intense glare of the global spotlight.
But when your sport is a demonstration sport, that baseline pressure is multiplied exponentially.
You are not just managing a team's performance.
You are managing the existential future of the sport itself.
It is a phenomenal burden to carry.
Huge.
The manager in that scenario has to ensure that the sport translates well to an international television audience.
They have to ensure the rules are comprehensible to viewers who have never seen a curling sheet before.
Right. They are essentially lobbying the Olympic officials, the broadcasters, and the global public simultaneously.
Every single game the U.S. women played in Calgary wasn't just about winning.
It was about presenting curling as a dynamic, highly competitive, and rigorously structured athletic discipline.
One that belonged permanently in the Winter Games.
And this is where her dual roles perfectly intersect.
She was managing the front-facing athletic execution of the sport at the Olympics,
While simultaneously utilizing her position as the U.S. representative to the International Curling Federation to manage the behind-the-scenes bureaucratic lobbying.
It is a comprehensive, two-pronged approach to institutionalizing a sport on the world's biggest stage,
She was demonstrating the sport's value through the excellence of her athletes.
while concurrently navigating the political corridors to secure its long-term future.
The sheer endurance required to sustain that level of dual advocacy is just staggering.
It really is.
And it brings us to the culminating milestone of our source material, moving into the early 90s.
1991.
In 1991, Mary Van Ess was elected to the United States Curling Association Hall of Fame.
It is a monumental achievement.
But the most crucial aspect of this induction is that she was the first woman ever elected to this Hall of Fame.
This raises an important question
About what?
about the timeline of systemic recognition, particularly for women in sports administration.
Ah, yes.
When we look at the reality of institutional awards, there is often a significant lag between the work being done and the establishment acknowledging it.
The fact that it took until 1991 for a woman to break this specific glass ceiling speaks volumes about the institutional hurdles of the era.
It forces us to synthesize the timeline we've been discussing.
This induction wasn't a sudden honor bestowed out of the blue.
It was the undeniable result of 15 consecutive years of administrative grinding
From the local presidency in Wauwatosa in 1976,
through the national presidency
a decade of international diplomacy.
and the crucible of managing a demonstration sport at the Winter Olympics.
She essentially had to construct an airtight, globally recognized resume just to open the door for that first induction.
Being the first in any institutional Hall of Fame carries a unique weight.
You're not just being judged against your peers.
You are overcoming the historical bias that often prioritizes the achievements of male athletes or administrators.
To be the first woman inducted meant that her contributions had to be so foundational and her impact so widespread that the institution could no longer justify excluding women from its highest honor.
She didn't merely walk into the Hall of Fame.
No.
She spent a decade and a half meticulously dismantling the barriers to entry.
That idea of meticulously dismantling barriers makes the final chronological detail in our sources so profoundly resonant.
It's my favorite part of the timeline.
After tracking her ascent from a local Wisconsin rink to the national presidency, through international federations, all the way to the Olympic stage and into the Hall of Fame, the timeline brings us right back to the beginning.
Full circle.
In 1993, the Wauwatosa Curling Club elected Mary Van Ess as an honorary member.
It is a remarkably poetic conclusion to the recorded timeline.
It really is.
There is a common phenomenon in professional and athletic trajectories where individuals achieve global recognition and subsequently detach from their local origins.
Right. The gravity of international accolades often pulls people away from the grassroots levels where they started.
But this detail suggests the exact opposite.
Her honorary membership in 1993 is a testament to an enduring connection.
It is the local community, the people who watched her manage tight budgets and late-night volunteer meetings back in 1976.
Saying, "We saw you when you were just building the foundation,
We watched you take our sport to the world.
and we want to permanently claim you as our own."
It is a quiet, local honor that anchors the massive international legacy.
It serves as a powerful validation of her character as a leader.
True influence, the kind that reshapes international federations and breaks Hall of Fame barriers, does not have to erase its local origins.
In fact, it is often that grounding in community-level reality that makes a leader so effective on the global stage.
The Wauwatosa Club honored her because they recognized that the diplomatic skills she used to navigate the International Olympic Committee were the exact same skills she honed in their local rink.
So what does this all mean?
Well,
We began this deep dive looking at a few brief sentences about an American curler. But by unpacking the citations and the timeline, we discovered a comprehensive blueprint of unseen architecture.
Behind every athletic event you watch,
Behind every professional industry you work in, and behind every community hobby you enjoy, there is a massive apparatus making it function.
Mary Van Ess's journey from the local Wauwatosa Club to the Hall of Fame is a masterclass in the power of sustained, behind-the-scenes leadership.
She did not merely participate within the existing boundaries of her sport.
She actively expanded those boundaries.
Utilizing local pragmatism and global diplomacy to shape the future of curling for generations to come.
As we conclude our analysis today, I want to leave you with a final thought to explore on your own.
Please do.
I encourage you to look closely at the fields, the industries, or the sports that you are deeply passionate about. We are naturally conditioned to celebrate the highly visible figures,
The athletes scoring the points,
the front-facing executives.
or the individuals standing on the podium.
But I want you to consider the unseen infrastructure that supports them. Who are the unsung architects in your own areas of interest?
The unsung Mary Van Esses.
Exactly. Who are the people whose decades of quiet committee work, localized dispute resolution, and relentless global advocacy built the foundations that you seamlessly enjoyed today?
Because in the background of every single field we care about, someone spent 15 years meticulously building the door. That is an exceptional perspective to carry forward. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We look forward to having you with us next time as we continue to unpack the profound stories and complex architectures hidden just beneath the surface of history.